Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to be here with the fabulous Lamarr Lewis today. Lamarr E. Lewis. I love having that E in there. And today we're going to talk about the 5 things I wish every man knew about relationships. All right.
Mm.
So, Lamarr, I'm giving it to you. What are the 5 things that you wish every man knew about relationships?
Um, One of the first things I think about is men doing their own internal work, really dealing with some of their emotional baggage,
Mm-hmm.
trauma that they've experienced, um, residue from past relationships,
Mm-hmm.
um, some the maladaptive behaviors they may engage in, what a
Mm-hmm.
man is, sexuality, what they want out of a partner beyond sex, all these type of things.
Yeah.
When you do your own internal work, you're better able to um, show up in a healthy way in a relationship. So I think that's
Yeah.
probably if I had one answer, that would be the one answer. But that's definitely
So it's one of the
uh,
5. I want to go deeper
right.
on that just a quick second because even I
Okay,
sometimes, as a therapist, some days I'm like, but what is the internal work? What does that mean? Y'all talking
for
about do
sure.
the work. What do your internal work? What is that?
For sure. I think for me, it is being reflective, taking time to ask
Hmm.
yourself difficult questions and find
Yeah.
answers to difficult questions. And if you can't find the answers, seeking specific people who can give you those answers.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's talking to your mom or your dad or your grandma or whoever,
Hmm.
um, and resolving some stuff. Maybe it's talking to a friend. Maybe it is going
Yeah.
to therapy. It's going to
Yeah.
12 steps. It's going to church. Like doing your internal work is just that same effort you would put into your job to show up at your
Hmm.
job, to be on time, to
Hmm.
do the tasks that are completed, doing the same thing with yourself, showing up for yourself, being kind with yourself, but holding yourself accountable to the values and things you hold dear, and whatever that
Yeah.
process looks like for you.
Yeah, and I think it's going to look different for different people. And
For
I
sure,
think
for
to
sure.
give people a practical thing to start with, anytime you do something crazy in your life, or you say something crazy, and you say, "Oh, I don't. Why did I do that?" I think
Hmm.
that's a good place to start with your
For
work is figure
sure.
out exactly why did you do
Yeah.
that.
And where did this come from? Where did this come from?
Right, right,
Yeah,
right.
for
And
sure, for sure.
so,
Yeah, yeah. Those two questions right there. Why did I say that? And where did this come from? Is a
right.
good start. Which to make it practical, we're trying to raise our awareness to these
Right,
things,
right, right,
right?
right.
That's
And
what
if
comes
you
up in
could
relationship.
figure it out before you do something like, wind up in jail. Or, or
Or
just do
or
something.
or die alone, die
Or,
by yourself.
yeah, yeah. We could stop it before then. That would be
Yeah,
good. That would be
that's the
good.
goal. That's the goal. Yeah,
With that. So are
for sure,
other people's feedback to you. And
for
so
sure.
I understand if somebody say something one time, I understand you don't want to pay attention to that. But
Mhm.
after you about the third person done said the same thing,
That's a
that's the
fact.
place to start on. Okay.
Yeah,
why do I do that? Because people are
for
starting
sure,
to say something about it. That would be good. Okay, so that was
for
that
sure,
was number one, doing your internal work. Okay, I want four
for sure.
more.
Um, to ask the right questions of partners.
Ooh.
I think that's a big one. We'll ask what's your favorite color, what you like to eat, but we won't ask, what's your relationship like to your parents? What's your
Mm-hmm.
relationship to money? You
Ooh,
know,
ooh, not
how,
your
yeah,
relationship to
yeah,
money.
yeah.
Oh.
Oh yeah, because if I'm a spender, you're a saver, and we thinking long
Mm-hmm.
term, that's
Mm-hmm.
gonna cause conflict.
Yep.
Like a situation we talked about earlier, does a man have to be the sole provider? Can I concede to a woman who's making more money than me? What does head of the household look like? Like
Yeah.
those type of questions, and we can ask a million and one. But those are
Right.
the type of questions. Where are you at sexually right now? Right?
Right.
What's appropriate for you? How's your relationship to your sexuality and your spirituality? Like,
Yeah.
you know, all kinds of stuff. Do you have a history of depression and anxiety in your family?
Yep.
What about the health issues? Do you have a history of diabetes or colon cancer or
Mm-hmm.
whatever? You know what I'm saying? Just
Mm-hmm.
different kind of thing. If we're thinking long term with a partner, and are we dating with intention? I think that's the other thing too. We just dating to meet people and mingle, get free meals, or are we dating because we're trying to really
Yeah.
Find a life partner.
Yeah.
You know,
That's a
I
good
think
thing.
having
I remember I had somebody say the term, are you a no romance without finance person? And so
mm,
I thought that was such a good way to put it, but that's a good
yeah,
question to ask,
yeah, yeah,
because,
for sure.
especially if maybe you work in the industry like real estate. Real estate is an industry where you make $200,000 one year and $50,000 the next year, and not
Hmm.
because of what you're doing, just because the interest rates changed and people stopped
Right, the
buying
market change,
houses.
yeah, for
And
sure, for
so,
sure, for
like,
sure.
are you gonna start, seeing me sexually different,
Right,
or because I'm not providing those finances that I were before? And so those are
that's
really
a
good
fact,
questions. Okay.
for sure.
So asking the right questions is number two. All right. What's number three out of the five things you wish
Um,
every man knew about a relationship? A
how does
relationship.
your past how does your past experiences impact your current perspective? Um,
Mm,
I call that bringing the past forward. I
okay.
think we can learn from the past. When we linger in the past, that's when it becomes a problem. I
Yeah.
think a lot of guys spend time, um, their ex did this or whatever, and then they take those past experiences and they extrapolate them across every person they deal with. So now
Right.
every whether it be woman, man, whatever, every their new partner now is the one held accountable for what their ex did. So
Mm-hmm.
being aware is, am I bringing this past experiences to my this new relationship, or am I giving this new relationship its own chance to flourish?
Yeah.
And that goes back to the first point of doing that internal work, being aware of that. Man, my ex really broke my heart. They really hurt me. I don't want that to
Right.
happen to me. But what did
Yeah.
I learn from this experience that I can, improve my situation? So I think that
Yeah.
that's a big, for sure. That's a big
Yeah. That's a good one. Okay. All right. So learning from past experiences. All right. That's number three.
one.
Okay. Give me number four.
Healthy forms of sexual expression.
Ooh. Ooh. I feel like that was the
Yeah,
politically correct way to say it.
yeah, no, no,
If
and
you
because
being real with people, what would you really say? If you was with your
well,
boys, how would you really say that?
no, if I was with my boy, I mean, I would think I talk like that, but you know,
All right,
uh,
Mr.
but
Therapist, I get
this is
it.
how I mean. I've always talked like that, but no, I would say it in a way to like, something I was taught is don't yuck my yum, right?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, so if I'm gonna use one that's very, at least in my community, African American male community, very taboo, is anal play, right?
Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
Instantly that's equated with homosexuality and gayness. And if I'm a man, I don't want anything to do with that or whatever.
Right.
Right? Is
Mm-hmm.
it unhealthy? Like you enjoy that? Is that unhealthy? No, it's not unhealthy. Right. But being very clear about what that is,
Yeah.
and then not shutting yourself off from experiences.
Yeah.
Or if you yourself off, why is that? Like being
Right.
curious about that. I think that all plays
Right.
a factor. So I mean healthy expressions of sexuality. I just mean that, you know, um being, I would say, less rigid. Not saying if you like what you like, you
Mm-hmm.
like what you like. I'm not saying that that's
Right.
wrong. I'm just saying that, when I mean rigid, there's also a judgmental component that comes with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, if your partner says they want to try something, completely shutting it down
Mm-hmm.
creates barriers to intimacy. So, just being,
Yeah.
have a healthier form. And that's what I mean by healthy. I don't necessarily
Yeah.
mean that something's right or wrong or whatever,
Yeah.
or certain things are unhealthy. It just means that let's be open to new experiences.
That's true. And I think the piggyback on that, one thing I want to say, specifically
Hmm.
in heterosexual relationships, with men being able to express, is women, you got to be able to handle the truth.
That's
And
a fact.
so you can't, so let's take anal play. So
Hmm.
if your man is like, hey, I really like this. This feels good to me. This is something like I would like to have. You can't then be like, oh, you gay? Like, how is anybody gonna want to open up to you and say anything? And so, like, you've got to be able to handle the truth. So back to what you said is,
Hmm.
don't yuck my yum. And so if you
Hmm.
want a partner to be open and honest with you about what they really like and what they really enjoy, so that you
Hmm.
guys can have the best relationship together of having that
Hmm.
vulnerability, you got to be able to handle the truth. You can't.
Hmm.
And okay, now I'm gonna get on my little pedestal for a second. All right, ladies, just because he likes sex more than you does not mean he's automatic addicted to sex. And so
That,
I feel like I keep
can
getting
you can you say that
these
one more time?
like just because he like it more than you don't mean he addicted to sex. And so just calm down off of that and the judgments around sexuality, because none of us like to be judged in any type of area.
For sure.
And
For sure.
so period. And this goes for some males as well, because I know some
Mm-hmm.
males who will be like, you did what? Oh, I don't want that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mess with
Mm-hmm.
guys sometimes of like, okay, you wanted a virgin, but then you slept with her and then you was mad she wasn't a virgin no more. Like how does that work? And
Or
so
or judging the partner because she doesn't want to have sex as much as you do, or vice versa. Like
right. Yeah.
trying, yeah,
Yeah. Oh, that's a
the
good
judgment
one.
comes in.
That's
Yeah,
the
yeah, that
other
happens.
side of
That's
that.
what I get a lot of. Like, oh, she never wants to have sex, and
Okay,
not
but
looking
she
at
just
things in
got finished
context.
saying she wanted to have sex with you. So how did you get that? With that. And so just kind
Yeah.
of being open. Okay. All right. So that's number four. All right. The
And it's
fifth and the final one. What would you say?
um,
Of
I don't know what it says after without, so I'm just gonna freestyle it. But how to cope with, or just how do we cope with how you cope with daily stressors,
yes.
right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
because if you are a person who gets irritable, if you're a person who kind of
Mm-hmm.
retreats into themselves, you're a person who kind of, shuts down or isolates or just, I'm just throwing out different behaviors that when you think about relationship can impact the relationship, right? I know a lot of times partners feel like if their partner doesn't want to share with them, there's something they did wrong. And then they're
Yeah.
constantly, questioning themselves about what they did or didn't do.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, it may have nothing to do with them, but they
Yeah.
don't know that because you're not communicating that. So
Yeah.
something that one of my old supervisors used to say is that when we're stressed, we regress. And I think that that's
Yes.
important to look at as well, because generally when we're stressed out is when we revert back to some of our base behaviors that
Mm-hmm.
may or may not be healthy,
Right.
or adaptive for us. So, yeah, how do I cope with stress? Something I used to
Yeah.
tell the kids I coach all the time is who are you when things aren't going your way? Like these
Right.
are the kind of things that I want to know,
Yeah.
because sometimes people get stressed, they get irritable, they get fussy, they get,
Mm-hmm.
like I know when I get hungry, that's why y'all see me snacking. When I get hungry, I get irritable. So if y'all want jovial Lamar, make sure Lamar got some food, or Lamar gonna be annoyed. You know what I'm saying? So I know that about myself. As an example, you know what I mean? Or or some
Yeah.
people, when you're stressed out,
Yeah.
financially, right, impact the sex life. Like you got to
Yeah.
kind of, so being aware of how you cope with stress. Do you have healthy coping outlets? Do you have
Mm-hmm.
a great support group? Do you have
Mm-hmm.
a physical activity regimen? I don't want to say working out. Do you,
Yeah.
that could be anything, right?
Yeah.
Do you have somebody you can confide in and talk to? Do you have a spiritual life or meditative life or just a contemplative life? Like, what
Right.
are the stuff that you're doing? You know what I'm saying? To help you cope with day to day stress, because it's going
Yeah.
to be there, and that stress will impact the relationship. And if you don't know how
Yeah.
you are during stressful situations, when another person is stressed, it's harder to kind of have empathy for them for that. So that's
Definitely
what I would say.
so. And I think sometimes what I see is people not wanting to own who they are.
Mm,
And so if I could have people do anything, can you start to own just just own who you are. And I get we
mm-hmm.
all want to be these wonderful people who communicate well and everything.
Right,
You've noticed that five partners in a row is telling you that you're a terrible communicator, then you got to own that. Okay,
right,
apparently I still need to work on communication. I'm not as good as communicator as I think. Maybe you need me
right.
to be. And so that's just who I am. And it
Yep.
seems like and I know we all do it. Like I know we all do it. We want to present our best
Mm-hmm.
selves. And we all think we probably better than we actually are.
For sure, for sure.
With that. And so just starting to kind of have some self-acceptance so you can really
That's
explain
what I'm
who
gonna
you
say.
are to other
Yep.
people when in a dating
You
relationship, when you get into
yeah.
relationships,
You
like,
can own it or accept it or own it and adjust.
ooh,
If you
there we
accept,
go.
you like, yo, this is who I am. This is me.
Right,
You have
right.
to deal with it or not. It is what it
Mm-hmm.
is.
Yeah,
Or this is who I am. I don't like this necessarily about myself.
right.
Let me work to make some adjustments.
Yeah,
But I think both of those come with that sense of accountability And
Yeah.
like you said, self-acceptance, where you realize, okay, this is who I am. Am I okay with this?
Mm-hmm.
And I think where most people fall short, in my experience, is that they're not okay with it,
Right.
but they don't really want to, or they don't want to accept the consequence of that choice. Like, okay, this is who I am,
Yeah.
but I don't want what come with this.
Oh,
And that's
say
where
that part. Say
oh
that
yeah, no,
part.
this is who I am, but the potential outcomes, I don't know if I really want them. But this is who I am. Nah, you can't. You can't duck that player. You got to eat that one. You know what
You
I'm saying?
do, you do, you do, you do. And
That's
so,
the
yeah.
game. That's the game. Yeah, y'all play the game. You know what I mean? It is what it is. I say it all
It
the
is what
time. That's the
it
game, man. You
is.
play the
Right.
game. It's what happens. You're
It's
gonna get
what
hurt.
happened.
You're gonna get bruises. You may
That's it.
win, but it ain't gonna be easy. It ain't gonna be easy. You know what I'm saying?
Right. That's so good. So, okay. So, I'm
So,
going to recap and get us out of here. All right.
don't worry.
So, what we talked about today was the 5 things that you wish every man knew about relationships. Number
My
1 was
God.
for them to do their internal work. Number 2 was for them to ask the right questions of their partners.
Sure.
Number 3 was to figure out those past experiences and how they're impacting their current lives, their current relationships, their current perspectives and way of handling things. Number 4 was having healthy forms of sexual expression. And specifically, don't yuck anybody's yum with that, and try to hang out with people who ain't gonna yuck your yum. And then the last and
Mm-hmm.
fifth one was, how do you cope with stress? Like, how do you daily cope with stress? So you can tell that to a
Mm-hmm.
partner and communicate that. So, all right, we're out. Thank you, Lamarr. I appreciate your time, and you have a great and
You.
wonderful day.
Likewise, you as well. Thank you again.
All right, have a great day.
All right. All
Bye.
right.
I hope you enjoyed our content today. We are here at Atlanta Sex Therapy to serve. If you did like our content, please like, subscribe, and share it with a friend. Also, click the little bell so you can get notifications when we put new videos out. People don't know what sex therapists do, and we're trying to get the information out there and spread the word. So I'm going to ask you to send this to 3 people, because you never know who may be in need of more good information about sex. Thank you, and just have a wonderful day in life.